Okay, you guys, I usually don't do rants, but again, I'm in my bold era and I'm calling people out, but not calling people out, just bringing awareness. Okay, so I have 5 kids. I have had roles from being a stay-at-home mom where I had complete flexibility to being a working mom where I have 0 flexibility and my kids are pretty SOL and they better, get themselves to school kind of thing. And I've also been a work-at-home, stay-at-home mom. Okay, and that's the hardest. If you are a work-at-home, stay-at-home mom, kudos to you. That is the hardest because it's very hard unless you're really good at structure and compartmentalizing and dividing and making the time blocks. Then it's better. But oh my gosh, for me with ADHD, you guys, it was the toughest job ever, especially with little ones at home that weren't in school yet. 3, under the age of 3.5. Pretty tough. I got through it. But as I was originally a stay-at-home mom, personal trainer, a lot of flexibility, I didn't understand how much working moms are not catered to. And I'm not saying please cater to us, it's just also keep us in mind. Or when we have other children and are on strict schedules, I can't come pick my kid up at 5:30 for football practice and he comes out at 6. That would irritate the crap out of me when I had evening clients because I'm like, I cannot do this. All right. So it's almost like, yes, the parents, if you want us to support our kids, sometimes you need to think about us too. All right. Next, this post I did recently about in Fort Bend ISD, the district I'm doing right now, they have a new policy at some of their schools. I don't know if it's every campus, but most campuses, I have seen a sign that says, we are no longer doing, I need to buckle up. I'm no longer doing, we're no longer accepting drop-offs, okay, for kids. Because when I say these kids are so catered to these days, they can DoorDash, it's insane what these kids are able to do in these schools, like how they're taught to be resourceful. I'll give you that. But sometimes responsibility and remembering things is important too. Somebody's not always going to be there to bring you your lunch, to bring you your water bottle, okay? So I told the secretary, I'm like, that is really smart because you're teaching kids how to be responsible, okay? And some of the comments, y'all, and I divided the house and that's my goal. What is a house without some division? Because if you're all think alike without any opinions, it becomes this is not the correct term, but I'm going to say like a shared psychosis, if you will. And you just become like, this is all we believe in, right? If there's no conflict good conflict, So it got me to thinking because I got a lot of comments that said, what, you never forget anything? You're little Miss Perfect. And I was like, oh, and I always respond, y'all. And I was like, no, I absolutely do forget things. But I also know that the sooner, because I forget things, I survive, right? I survived, right? My kids will survive. So I'm not going to worry about them. I don't worry about so much about those ailments as in like if my kid is being bullied, like those things I feel. But like there's other resources. Also, when you forget things like you might have to drink water out of the water fountain. I know these days, everything, awareness can be our greatest Achilles heel. And I say that because when I was little, we didn't care. Like, y'all, we had the water fountains with like the 4 spigots and you had to go in line 4 students at a time. I mean, we didn't think twice about what was in the pipes, right? So awareness is good, but it's also, oh my gosh, can be so overwhelming because if you're always having to think about everything, why do you think we have so many OCD and hypochondriacs these days? Because they know everything. And that goes for every area in life. The more we know, it's better because then we have more to say, but then more to pull from. However, when there's multiple pull from, you then start to have to pick your battles. Otherwise you go crazy because you can't do everything all the time, all at once, even though you want to. Or think about it all, or remember it all. Maybe it's just me because I have ADHD and I don't remember anything. I do remember things. I'm getting off topic. Okay. Oh yes, my rant. Okay. So as a parent who, if I'm an hour across town and my kid forgets something, I cannot come an hour to bring it to them. Okay. So they have to really learn how to be responsible. And I do remember when I was more flexible, my kids, if both parents worked in the home, the kids had to set their own alarms, the kids had to make it to their bus stop. And I remember thinking to myself, wow, that's actually pretty incredible that they're forced to have to learn to do that because the parents aren't there to do it for them. So it got me to thinking that sometimes it's okay for our kids to have to suffer, to have to get up a little earlier to make their lunch if they didn't make it the night before. They're gonna have to do it on their own anyway, so why not figure it out now, get through all the growing pains now, so that by the time they leave home, they're responsible. It's no longer like, Mom, what do I do now? My kids were forced to grow up responsible, and I, as much as others looked down on the way that I parented, I was a good mom, I think. And I'm an emotionally good mother. That is for sure. I might not have been the best at feeding my children, but I fed their souls. And I played with them. But it's easy to let that judgment come in. And then another thing that happened the other day, and I never take offense to these things. I'm just like, they don't understand what it's like to be a working parent and have kids in activities that you've got to get them to. So my daughter, who's in Special Olympics, she just did her first track last week. And one of the coaches was like, next time your mom needs to come and work out clothes so she can, this starts at 5. So if I'm working till 5, I don't have time to change. So of course I was in my work outfit, right? And he goes, next time your mom needs to be ready to run with you. And I was like, oh, he probably doesn't think that I just came from work. Why would I wear this to track unless I had to? Okay. If you know me, you know me. I much prefer workout clothes. So, again, it's those little things that somebody doesn't mean to judge, but they haven't maybe considered. What if I say this? Let's see, why did she come like that? If I say this, is it gonna, I don't know. I just find it so interesting how, once I became a full-time working mom where I had no flexibility, or a lot less flexibility, it changed the way I saw how things were done at the school level. So that's why I think it's good to experience life in a lot of different facets and a lot of different manners. Otherwise, you have nothing to compare it to. You have nothing to judge against. And the more you experience life in certain circumstances, you guys, you stop judging because you know what it's like to have been there. Okay, I understand it's hard to have empathy if you have literally never been there, but once you've had enough experiences, because we all have those original feelings, right? They all manifest inside the same. How they manifest with our reactions are all different. It depends on what you've learned. It depends on what you cultivated. But y'all, basically, we're just one big Pavlov dog. Life is one giant learned experience. And the more you do something, the more that experience comes ingrained. Okay, so the more you react in a way and you don't get the way you want, you stop reacting in that way. And you start reacting in this way because this is what gets you what you want. Even if you have to be a bitch about it, But nobody wants to be a bitch. So then it goes, okay, find my happy medium. There has to be another way to get my point across, to get a win-win situation. I don't know why I'm actually, y'all, sometimes I just start talking and I'm like, maybe this is the overthinking ADHD thing. As I'm talking about whatever I'm talking about, I'm like trying to think of my next point. And I'm like, oh crap, what was I just talking about? And then when I listen back, because I'll watch my videos back in hopes to, it's kind of like watching film, y'all, for sports or athletes. I watch it back, I'm like, oh, I never finished that point. Oh, look, I didn't finish that point either. Oh, I wrapped it up good here. I constantly am critiquing myself and my skills. That's why I'm doing these videos, because they help me. They help me. Okay, so I know I was talking about, yes, the more we experience, the less judgmental we become because we've been there. We've been there. So you don't judge, and you see, and you don't judge those who judge you, because guess what? They haven't been there. They don't get it. And guess what? That if they've been there, or when they get there, they'll get it. Let me tell you another story. Okay, so I had to move back. Again, I have not been, for separate reasons though. My ex-husband had mental health issues, so we had to move back in with my parents. Anyways, my parents were very nice and let us move back in. But still, what happened? All my sisters are judging me. They're like, why are you having to move back in with mom and dad? These natural things. They're not doing it meanly, but because I have ADHD, RSD, everything feels like an extreme judgment on me. And that's something that I've continued to work on and to think and be like, okay, what did they mean this? What did they mean? Or did they mean this? Did they mean to be rude? Did they mean to take a jab? And sometimes, yes, they just meant to take a jab. People love to take a jab at those who won't jab back, even though they could. But then my older sister, her husband had lost his job in oil and gas in Houston. So when that happened, he was laid off. And they had to move back in with my parents. And I had moved out, gotten a house, all that. So anyways, I come home one afternoon to my mom's house. And my sister's there. And oh, it's going to make me cry. Okay, I remember, I think I gave her $100. Because I knew what it was like to be in that position. And she started crying. And she said, I'm so sorry I ever judged you. Because it doesn't feel good to be in this position. And in my head, this moment, I was like, wow. Then I started again because I have ADHD, so I pattern seek everywhere. So I immediately went to how often have we judged someone and we got in that position and then we feel bad? So I think the universe or God, whatever you believe in, gives us what you judge, you end up getting to experience, because that's the only way you can understand truly, being in that position. And then there's those others who get hardened by those trials, if you will, because they think it's unfair. Instead of learning from those experiences, they find it unfair, that life is against them. And then they judge in the sense that, haha, I made it here. Are you going to make it here? It's just a different kind of growth there when you don't learn from your experiences, take it in, feel, turn it inside out. All right, I gotta go because I don't know my directions.